WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I'm going to start saying welcome home to WNST because that's sort of the way it feels. I'm one of my homes away from home. We're at Koco's Pub. I have not ordered the appetizers or the munchies, but I did. I had the munchies when I got here, so I had a little bit of delicious cream of crab soup. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have lottery scratch-offs to give away. I have ticket number 1 that I've been holding up on the air all week. This is ticket number 2. We had winners at Fadley's last week. We had a $100 winner last time we were at Koco's. And it's also brought to you by our friends at Window Nation. I'm going to have the fun floppy hat. I do not have any Jiffy Lube swag or things to show yet, but Jiffy Lube is also sponsoring these. I want to thank them. We'll be telling you more about oil changes, playoff baseball, good football, delicious crab cakes. We're here at Koco's, and Mike Ricigliano is become sort of, if this is sort of one of my Fonzie places where, like, I have an office and a restroom, then you are sort of the guy at the diner.
That's a good analogy.
You're the co-host of Koco's Pub.
I mean, it's our neighborhood place.
Yeah, tell everybody why, because you live up the street.
I live up the street. It's not only got the best crab cakes in Baltimore, it's a meeting place for this neighborhood, which is an awesome neighborhood. Arcadia and Herring Run Park area, Eastwood Drive, where I live. It's a lovely area. Lots of artists live here in the area. It's a lot of
I wore my
people.
artistic shirt today.
Very good.
Do I look Lauraville today, right? I look good.
I have sat next to Tom Maddie at the bar here. There's
Have
a lot
you?
of great people wander into Koco's. It's a happening place.
You're giving me like a Koco's history thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Liz here, and I love Liz because she has my mother's name.
Nice.
Liz is the beautiful lady that makes the crab cakes. And when you come in, she's making them. If she's not doing it, Marcella's usually here. They're going to be here later. I got a great show today because Ricig is here, the great Mike Ricigliano. And every week when I do the crab cake tour, my wife asks me, like on Sunday or Monday, who are you inviting this week? And I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to sucker out to do it this week, but I'm going to find somebody. But this has been the most enjoyable part of, I did the Ravens live shows, right? And this week we're celebrating. I'm doing this 25th anniversary countdown. The 25 greatest moments, the stories of glory. Time will not dim the glory of your deeds, which is making the show work and the station work and being here and being supportive amidst all the nonsense that's going on with the Orioles and the Ravens over the years. But, for me, the barn shows back in the day, in the 90s. Now, I was doing barn shows before the Ravens existed. So I was doing barn shows in 95.
I did not know that.
Before that, I was doing a Friday afternoon football show, and then the Ravens showed up. And I had Art Donovan out there at that point. Governor Schaefer came out with John Moog explaining how we stole the football team. Right. And being out with people doing it live, it was difficult, man. People wanted autographs. Ray Lewis is there, kicking the table over, knocking the equipment, pulling the cords, all the stuff that happened. Sometimes I think back, I see these pictures, I'm like, how did we pull this off every week? How did we make this work?
Right.
And I come in here now and I do these relaxing chats with people that are my friends that, I've known you. We figured this out. It'll be 40 years in January that I've known you. And all these years of doing the Ravens and the excitement and the Orioles, I don't know that we've ever had a time. I was online this morning trying to get playoff tickets for the Baltimore Orioles.
Right, they went on this morning at 10, right?
Yeah, so there's a point with all of this where it's a little surreal what's about to happen, right? These weekends when these games, they may be out in 3 games. They may be in 3 games and in the ALs. I mean, because it happened so fast in the playoffs. And you remember this from 96 and 97. I remember from 79 and 83. All of this, and you're wearing your Oriole gear here.
Yeah, of course. Got to wear it. Been wearing it. Well, I always wear Oriole gear, but I've been wearing it extra more these days, of course, with great pride.
Well, and Max Weiss is going to be here today, and she did a thing on bandwagon people. I have the beautiful Alternate here today. We're going to talk about house music, and I've never had her on the show. She's a little bit of a bucket list guest for me today. Cool. She doesn't know that, but she's going to find out.
I'm also a fan, so yeah.
Of Alternate, of course.
No, of Max.
Oh, Max too. Okay, that's fine too. So and then at the end, Roz is coming by from the Maryland Lottery to help me hand these out with her husband Greg. You know Greg, because you're an old school WNST listener.
Right.
Greg from Northeast used to call in.
Okay,
That's Roz's husband.
Oh, okay.
For the Maryland Lottery.
Wow.
So, and they live in the neighborhood too. They live by Morgan, right? So they're coming over. So today's going to be great, but there's so much Oriole thing happening here that I just want to give you some oxygen to talk about your Oriole journey, because you moved down here to work at the News American with me at the time, before I got here, and your first exposure to this was like World Series, lose the football team.
Yes.
Like that all happened in the first 6 months you were here, right?
Exactly right. Like come in, from Buffalo, where there is no major league team.
Well, they always wanted one.
They always wanted one. They have
Right.
they have a great minor league stadium. I was a big Bisons fan up there, but I was a Mets fan growing up. But coming here, team wins the World Series. We're like, wow, what a crazy baseball town this is, and became an Orioles fan really as soon as I got here.
Did you always live in this neighborhood? Because I remember coming to your home and walking to Orioles games from your house.
Which you could do, right?
Very easily. I mean, because the bus would let me, the 23 bus, my Uncle Nelson lived in the neighborhood on Tyndale, right? I always told you that, right?
I think
so we used to walk from his house over to Memorial Stadium all the time, because why would you want to put your car over there?
Right,
I mean,
right.
It was an ish show over there.
No, it was an awesome thing to be able to walk over to the stadium from our house here. We did not live. We lived in Cockeysville the first 2 years we were here.
I remember
and
that.
Then we moved into the city in '85. So when the Orioles won the World Series, we were living in Cockeysville. And when the Colts left town, I was building the Irsay dummy in Cockeysville, in my Cockeysville apartment. Basically, that dummy
I did
was built.
15 minutes today. Before I left here at noon today. I did 15 minutes on Jake Curie's show in Indianapolis, and all he ever asked me about is the dummy. So there's going to be dummy radio this week as well.
Yeah, that's
from
cool.
the guy in Indianapolis talking, doing a little preview out there. But they always want to know the history of the dummy, and I'm like, I am sitting with the creator of the dummy over this delicious crab cake at Koco's today.
Right.
So the dummy was created in Cockeysville.
It was.
Okay.
It's true. And people didn't know what to make of it, of course, because that's not it's not like here in where I live now in this area, where there's a lot of artists who would understand completely that someone would be willing to make a paper mache dummy and carry it around.
You're a real artist, man. You were the first really weirdo artist I ever met, and look at how close we've been. I'm close with weirdo artists, right? I really am. And writers. Hemingways and artists are the people in my life, and musicians.
Cool. That's really good. That's, of course.
That's a good crowd.
That's a really good crowd.
Especially in New Orleans.
So anyway, that's so, and then 84, from 85 on here, an Orioles fan.
But when you moved to the neighborhood here, walking to the game was a Benny for you, right?
Right, yes. I mean, it was not, I never thought about it. I just thought it was an awesome convenience to be able to kind of do that, show up at the game. I had a press pass.
Right, you can just walk over there at 6 o'clock.
I had a press pass at the time. I never sat
walk past Montebello and you're there.
I never sat in the press box, or I rarely did, unless a friend was visiting. So I mostly
You never had a crab cake in the press box at Memorial Stadium? They're
have.
very, very unique. Anybody that ever had a crab cake in the press box at Memorial Stadium remembers it. And I found the recipe this summer. There's 2 places that serve it. One place in Annapolis, Davis's Pub. If you go there, that is the crab cake. That is the fried little crab cake that my mother made at Memorial Stadium. And they have a delicious tartar sauce there. And the other place, and the governor's coming on in November. We're setting this up in Annapolis. I talked to his folks the other day, Governor Westmore.
Yeah.
I ate all the crab cakes at the Mako Crab Feast, and I had about 6 of these. They were little, they weren't big, but I had a bunch of them. They would only give you one at a time.
Right.
And by the time the governor ate, the crab cakes were gone.
Oh.
He's like, "Dude, you ate all the crab cakes," and I'm like, "Yeah, they were really good, man. They tasted like the ones at Memorial Stadium in the press box. The very specific crab cake they had there."
So I'm sorry I missed that, because it was very infrequent that I did.
I mean, it wasn't as good as like a Koco's crab cake or a Faley's or anything. It wasn't this beautiful. It was a fried, but it was delicious.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with it.
And of course, a great place to watch a ball game, Memorial Stadium at the time too. We have a great stadium now, of course, but
you're like a real. You grew up a Mets fan though, right?
I did, yes. Correct. So I was rooting
Look
for
at this guy. His father would be ashamed of him from '69. Look,
he
at
would.
this.
My dad was a diehard Mets fan, and my family was too. So we were rooting for the Mets over the Orioles in '69.
I remember because I knew you in '86.
Right.
You were a little nutty in '86. You
right.
were, yeah. And then the Bills thing, which still exists for you.
It does. It's the one carryover for me. I mean, I love all Baltimore sports and sports teams, and I still love the Ravens too. But I carry the Bills thing in my heart. So
I know you do.
Yeah. So we root for both teams.
So this Oriole team, you listen to my show and my station all day for years when you're doing your art.
Right.
I know because you would hit me sometimes and say, hey, your commercial got stuck, or you
right.
your quality control sometimes for things I do. This Oriole run for you, and you sitting in the house you've lived in for 40 years in this city, you're now in your late 40s, but you've witnessed all this. What will it mean for you, and what does this team mean in the way that we're watching these very young men now that we've gotten older, right? And Cal Ripken's watching these young men, and even Adam Jones, who isn't a young man anymore, and Ben McDonald calling the games, and Jim Palmer, who's another generation, even further. And my last name's Aparicio, and I bought a new Oriole dress. I mean, it means a lot to me, but I'm trying to channel this for what it means for everyone else. Because a guy this morning, I was at the Connects networking, and he's like, man, you're so pissed at the Orioles. And I'm like, do I look or sound pissed at Peter Angelos right now? What I'm really happy about is that this joy is in all of my friends.
That's what I was just going to say.
That's what I'm really focused on over the next 5 weeks, is seeing you put pictures up crying with champagne with Terry, and being at a parade with you, and seeing this joy on behalf of you and your family who have supported the Orioles for 40 years.
The thing for me is just the city itself. It's just so uplifting for the city. It's so uplifting for friends of mine. Maybe they're fair weather. A few of them are fair weather friends too. It doesn't bother me that they are. You know what I mean? Like, just
if
the
you haven't
idea,
watched the Orioles in the last 5 years, I mean, it's their fault, not yours.
Exactly
they weren't worth watching. They really weren't.
Exactly right. But I mean, I've like I said, I've worn my Orioles gear throughout all that time. I think I love the cartoon bird. I'm a cartoonist, so when they became, when they switched from the ornithological bird
the guy from Indianapolis pissed on the bird today, too.
Did he really?
He said he calls it the lonely little bird. It looks like the lonely little bird that sits in the corner.
What?
Well, if for anybody that's under the age of ours, they've really been a ratty, awful, pathetic franchise that people felt sorry for, right?
Well, so that's what they're thinking about.
I think there's a point where, they feel sorry for our fans, that we watched the Red Sox win for 15 years. We've watched the Yankees win for 30 years. I mean, even the Tampa Rays got up and went to World Series, right?
Exactly.
And Toronto has resurrected itself, and Toronto doesn't need baseball. They're Canada. They got Geddy Lee. They don't need any. They got Bryan Adams. They don't need anything else.
Right.
They got hockey. But here, there was a point where this is all we had.
Right.
When you moved into this neighborhood for 12 years.
That's it.
And the football team came, and I only remember one conflict in all of these years. There were a few. Like when Ripken stated it was going to be his last game, I was at a football stadium somewhere. I was in Cleveland or Cincinnati. I was somewhere else. I mean, I've missed some baseball-related things because of the Ravens in September.
Right,
October,
or
not
Sunday
much.
Games, yeah.
But I was in Indianapolis. The Ravens played the Colts the weekend of the Delman Young double. I was not at the Delman Young game.
Well, I was not either. But
I was in Indianapolis for the Colts
That's
Ravens.
a bad game to miss. That's a great game,
dude.
Yeah. But I missed it too.
I can't be everywhere.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And at this point, I was there when the Sensei's hit the home run in '79. Nothing will ever be better than that.
Right.
I mean, that's the birth of Oriole magic. I was there when it started.
Right.
I was sitting in left field, watched the ball land, watched my dad go crazy, the whole deal.
But there were people that we both know, and maybe you were there. I don't know. I was not on Sunday. I was watching grandchildren in Brooklyn. So, but to be at that game on Sunday when they come back late.
I had a football commitment. I mean, this really speaks to Chad Steele doing what he's done to me. And you can go read about that at the website if you want. Ricig's read it.
Right.
But I would have been in Cincinnati on Sunday. No matter what, I would have been in Cincinnati because I go where the Ravens go.
You do.
All my life I've done that, right? So Luke would have been at the baseball game. I would have been at the football game. And that's the way a professional company has covered these teams for 3 decades.
Yes, right.
So I am banned. Luke has a pass in Cincinnati and in Baltimore, can only use one.
Right.
He went to the Oriole game, right?
Wow.
You know, right? So
both were great to go to, of course.
And he missed watching the Ravens game, right? So for me, watching it at home, I've been at all of these things for 30 years. This is more about everybody else having a good time. Do not cry for me. I have had more fun than anybody you've ever met. You would agree with that.
Absolutely. You've nailed it. I mean, it's about other people that you know that maybe we're passive
that it
about
means something to them.
That they're truly excited about this. And
I was at Veterans Stadium for Game 5 with my father. I was sitting above first base, that picture that hung in the radio station of McGregor and that, you know, like all of that went on. I've been waiting on the next thing.
Sure.
And I don't expect it to be like the last thing. It's not going to mean as much to me as it did when I was 15, right?
Okay, right.
For my journey.
Right.
But there's so many people out there that it's going to mean everything to.
Right. And, of course, I plan on partying with all of them. So, you know, if as far as we go with both these ventures. And I brought it up to you before. I was on here with Dave Sheinin, and he suggested that, you know, at the time that the Orioles and the Ravens probably would not win in the next 3 years. That was a question you asked him.
Well, it's a math equation.
It's a math equation, and
right.
he's much more knowledgeable about sports than me, and I buy it.
Let's stop with this. The Orioles can be the favorite to win the World Series. They're not right this moment, but they can be the favorite and still have a far better chance of not winning the World Series than winning it.
Well, and I think that's what he was saying.
Right.
You know, he was saying that it's a tough road to get there, especially in the NFL, but also in the major leagues, especially a young team like this. But this young team doesn't seem to realize it. You know what I mean? Like they just play the way they play, you know, without any kind of outside noise.
I mean, the win on Tuesday night, like in Houston, the Cedric Mullins home run, and this speaks to Oriole magic like in 79 and 83. I can remember games in 79 that Lowenstein won, that Renicky won, that the Senseis won, that Kiko Garcia won. Right. That, you know, so it's not always Eddie Murray hitting the 3-run home run.
No.
It was some of the time.
No, but
a good amount of the time back then. But there was always a Benny Ayala. There was always a Tito Landrum.
Yes.
There was always the Rick Dempsey 20-year player who was a 5 and dime, you know, 230 hitter who caught fire. And became the MVP. That's baseball, right?
I mean, and I think this Oriole team, you've got some of that too, which is what gets you excited, I think, about it. You know, you have O'Hearn, you have these guys. They're not all, you know, bona fide top 100 prospects on this team. There's some other guys mixed in here too.
But they got a lot of bona fides.
They do have a lot of bona fides.
I mean, they bring Kerstad up this week, and look at him, right?
Yeah, exactly. He looks like a slugger, you know what I mean? He's going to be a really good player on this team.
Mountcastle's hurt, and they're not missing a beat.
No, that's right. So, but they also need veteran presence. They've got some of that. They've done a good job of putting together a winning squad here with young guys that are super talented and super confident, right?
I was happy that Flaherty got a couple decent innings in, right? Because for me, they're going to need all the pitching that they're going to need everyone to be excellent for a month. And like Fuji coming out of the bullpen and throwing 7 balls, that can't happen next week. That can't happen.
No, I'm with you on Flaherty. I was excited when they got him. He's always been a favorite of mine as a pitcher, and it just hasn't worked out for him. I don't even exactly know the reason here, but friends of mine were dismissing him for even being on the postseason roster. I'm like,
well, we talked about that earlier in the week. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. I don't know. I mean, I would have him on my postseason roster, even if he's doing just what he did and filling in. He's gonna contribute on this team. I think if there's room for him on the roster.
Postseason pitching's so different, Ricig, right? Like if Gibson's in trouble in the second inning, 37 pitches in,
right,
and it's 3-0,
right,
he's out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in a 5-game series. I mean, like so we talk about how deep the pitching is. It's how good is it from the beginning and how short is the rope. I mean, I thought Palmer was going to like bust through the television set in Houston when Fuji went ball 6, ball 7, out of the bullpen. I mean, Palmer's like, we got a division to win here. And how many times has Jim Palmer said on the air, we have a division to win here?
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Palmer's called 10 billion hours of radio, and we're in this key game. We're with a real magic number in single digits.
Sure.
And the kid comes out of the bullpen. He's got a yellow puddle between his legs and can't find the strike zone.
Right, yeah.
That does not bode well for pitching in Tampa 2 weeks from now or Toronto or wherever they're going to be. By the way, Ricig is our guest. We're Koco's. Have you ever had the coconut shrimp here?
No, I don't think
They
I
spell
have.
it with a K. I have to tell her that's for Koco's. Okay. Coconut shrimp, large shrimp, hand-breaded, shredded coconut, fried golden
I
brown.
love coconut.
But
so.
here's the key, because in Baltimore, we would eat this with a cocktail sauce, right? Like, that's the way we serve,
I
right?
mean, that's what you would do it. I don't think I would.
You don't do cocktail sauce?
I do cocktail sauce with shrimp cocktail, but
So what do you dip a shrimp in? You need some mango, sticky
I mean, if it's
something?
got coconut in it, I want the coconut. So
you don't want any sauce?
No, it's just because it's coconut.
All right, so
though.
the sauce they do here is a raspberry
Oh,
jalapeno.
that's my other favorite flavor. So now I'm clashing here.
You've
Coconut-
never had the coconut shrimp here?
No.
See, you're like everybody else. You come here.
Get the crab
and
cake.
you get it's exactly what you do.
Why would you not?
I'm
But
a little different.
All right.
I'm going to get a crab cake. It's a crab cake tour. That goes without saying.
Yes, right.
But we came in. Jimmy Buffett died by the way, Jimmy Buffett died. We got to have a drink to that. But here, cheers,
All right, cheers
to Jimmy.
Cheers
right?
to Jimmy, yeah.
And I've known Marcella here for years, and at one point she was involved in a place that had a Jimmy Buffett theme. This really does have a Jimmy Buffett theme without having a Jimmy Buffett theme. So we were talking about Jimmy, and when Jimmy died, she put the drinks on sale. She had the margaritas going right away the day he died, right? He died on a Saturday morning.
Right.
And we didn't make it over here. She put a cheeseburger in paradise up. By the time I got here, we just went with a straight cheeseburger.
Right.
They got a great burger here, dude, is what I'm going to tell you.
I want to say I think I've had the burger. So I think I've had a burger, and I agree with you. But
I might never
for
get to the
whatever
shrimp salad. I mean, who orders a salmon BLT here? I don't know, but I mean, I'm
my
sure
wife,
it's delicious.
Terry would. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, Terry.
So I need to find that out.
That's her jam is salmon.
Well, the problem with all my sponsors is like they're all known for a thing, or I have a thing there.
Right.
And then I never get the other thing.
Right.
So, I was at Fadley's 5 years, and she brought me fried oysters.
Right.
And I'm like, I would never order that. And then I ate one, which led to about 12.
I love fried oysters.
Because fried oysters are amazing.
Of course.
And I said to myself, I've never ordered a fried oyster in my life.
How about the raw oyster? You go
all day with that.
Okay, yeah, me too.
And Rockefeller or char grilled with the
any
butter
of any of them.
Like any of that.
Yep.
That's exactly why I wouldn't order them fried.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You think they're compromising it? Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Well, it's further.
But it's a whole different.
I love scallops, but I never order them on a menu. I just don't.
It's a whole different experience.
I mean, like they have imported baby back ribs here at Koco's. There's just going to be 12 other things I'm going to try first, unless 6 people at the bar say, get the ribs. And that's never going to happen here because everybody's got a crab cake.
I mean, you've got plenty of time because it sounds like you're
all right.
planting
Well, I'm going to
here.
get a crab cake. I'm going to get some fried shrimp. I just had the cream of crab soup. We're at Koco's. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. I'm giving away the Raven scratch-offs. Ricig's going to get a lucky one here. Our friends at Window Nation as well. I may wear the wacky Window Nation hat. 866-90-NATION. The weather is...
I love it when you wear that hat. Yeah, it's
flattering.
It's an interesting fit. Yeah.
I'll wear it in the next segment.
Okay.
Jiffy Lube is also sponsoring us. I want to give a shout-out to Leonard Raskin, too, who's always so good to us. He was out at the show last week. We did down at Fadley's. Raskin Global, empowering people to choose their financial future. I still haven't used the Crab Mallet combination beer opener. I could have opened your Natty Bow with that.
That would have been nice.
I want to step back, take a break, because I want to come back, talk some more baseball. I want to mix some football in. I had some art stuff for you, and I definitely have some Colt stuff for you.
Right.
And the Mighty Max has just walked in without her cello.
All right.
Not even wearing an Oriole hat, so I don't know her bandwagon, this and that. Ricig will lend her his hat.
No, I won't.
Max
I can't,
Weiss,
I
the
can't
great
display
editor
my
of
hair.
Baltimore Magazine, is here. and much like everyone, and this is true, and I know Liz is making the crab cakes back, or she's coming on. When I call guests and I say I'm doing a show at Koco's, they're like, oh, I'll be there. And there's other times, and no offense to my other places, but like when I'm in Dundalk, some people say, I ain't coming to Dundalk to see you. I'm waiting for Koco's.
Well worth the wait.
You missed out on Drug City. She doesn't even like Western fries from Royal Farm. She's not from around here. Max Weiss is here. She is the Best of Baltimore. We're at a place that's won a lot of Best of Baltimore awards. And I want to come back and get baseball. I want to get bandwagon fans in. We're going to plug Best of. I'm going to do what Moeller did. Give me the card to mail in. I'm going to hold it all out on the air and be a fool. Max is here. And Ultra Nate is coming by today. And she, no offense to either one of you, who I love and know. And Ultra and I have done yoga together. And I am a huge fan of her music, and I love her the little bit I know her, but I've never had her on the show.
Okay.
I've never heard her life story. I can't wait to hear it. She's internationally renowned. I mean, she's like a diva of the dance floor. And she might go dancing in the rain with me this weekend at Artscape to see Nile Rodgers and Chic, because she knows Nile Rodgers. Pays to know people that know Nile Rodgers.
Did you do yoga with her?
I did hot yoga with her 15 years ago.
In a studio somewhere.
Yeah,
okay,
and we were there, and there was like somebody that said her name's Ultra, and I'm like, and I looked at her, and she looked like Ultra, and I'm like, and I'm like soaking wet, and she's like, yeah, how are you? And like I do radio, and like, and I'm like, I need to know you, and I've never had her on the show.
Nice.
So all these years later.
That's cool. That's a very cool guest.
So, yeah. So, I might even dance and sing with her a little bit. You know, it might be fun.
Be witness to that.
Max is here. Ricig's here. It's all brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. We're going to eat crab cakes. We're going to eat coconut shrimp, spelled with a K, because it's coconut shrimp. Get it? I didn't get it right away. I was trying to. You're an editor. You want to fix the spelling on that. You see coconut with a K. You're like, no. Oh, because we're in Lauraville. We're at Koco's Pub. Back for more. Stay with us. Crab cakes and coconut shrimp and more beer and more first place playoff baseball. I just like saying that.
Nice. I like it.
I love saying that.